What's up, family? We back at it again.
Hey.
Oh, I feel like my vocals are mad loud. I'm sorry if I just blew y'all eardrum.
Man, listen. Everybody needs to hear a little kill in their ear once upon a time.
Wake up. Let's get it.
All right. So this is one of those awkward turtle conversations, but it's definitely a needed conversation because I think that in marriage, we always talk about finances, we talk about communication, but we really don't talk about that awkward sexual phase. And
What you talking about, sex?
Look, you sit here just like, let's talk about it. So I say it's awkward because I think that as we get older, we kind of understand what sex is in the sense of, oh, it's used to arouse feelings and, you know, whatever sex means to you. Because some people use sex for kids, which is weird.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I have kids. Man, listen, I have kids. I ain't got time. If you are actively trying to conceive, power to you. Listen, I love my kids, but that was never in my goals. Like, I was just trying to see what it felt like real quick. I didn't know that I had to get a receipt afterwards. Like, here is your proof of sexual fun. No, that was too much.
Well, that's where protection comes in.
Boy, stop.
See?
Listen, we married, okay? But, so let's just hop into this very uncomfortable conversation.
I'm very comfortable.
Well, you're comfortable because you weren't the virgin when we started this. No. So, yeah, I was the virgin. I was the one that decided that I was going to hold on to my religious vows of no sex before marriage. And then my husband came along. And he was like, oh, okay, well, you know, I'll see you senior year. But my whole position on really holding on to that was, number one, a mindset that was indoctrinated from my mom. And it was because she was a single mom. She grew up, you know, having to be 20-something years old with me and not really having that much support from my dad. It was just like hey, don't make the same mistakes that I made. So because I was such a literal kid and I'm a literal human in general, I was, don't do that.
I'm sorry. That was supposed to stay in my head.
Listen, I am very literal. I am somebody, if you say sit down, don't talk because somebody's going to come and murder you, I'm going to sit down. I'm not going to talk and I'm going to wait until you tell me I can speak again. That's just, I don't like breaking rules. Yeah. So I kept that vow because I didn't want to break the rules. I didn't want to disobey my mom. So I just kept that. I was like, no, I'm not going to have sex until marriage. And the vow that I specifically made to myself, because I understood life happens, you know, when you get excited or you meet that guy that you really like, there is a possibility. So I added a clause for myself that made me feel better about the vow. And it was whoever I lost my virginity to prior to marriage would be the person I end up marrying, because I didn't want to go into another relationship or eventually my marriage and have to explain to my husband, like, I loved you and I waited on you, but in the wait, I decided to go try other options.
Yeah.
And for me, I get it that not every woman has that mindset and not every man has that mindset. But for me specifically, I wanted my husband to have all of me. I wanted my husband to not have to deal with the baggage of bodies. And that was just me. Like, and when I told my friends that, they were like, Brittany, that is so considerate. But you're going to hold out that long? And I was like, yes. Why not? Because I want my husband to say, listen, that is mine. Like, she held out for me, and I did.
She did.
I held out for my man.
I felt like I can read your mind, though, because I made that statement, and you know which one I'm talking about. I just had to be bold with it, but I felt like I read your mind when you came to that vow with yourself.
Yeah. And I came to that vow after you told me that. So the statement that he's making,
that's crazy.
he told me in 10th grade that he was going to take my virginity, and I was like, yeah, right. And it wasn't until that moment where I was like, okay, well, if he was to be the guy, then I'm just going to marry him, because at this point, I'm not going to explain to my husband why the guy that I had the biggest crush in high school was also my first, was also like my first chemistry love. Like, I didn't want to have to go through all of the loopholes and explaining to my husband why, you know, Bae got the cookies, and now he's gonna end up being the guy that got away from me, because if I'm not with him, then I'm settling. So yeah, that's when I made that vow exchange.
Yeah.
I had to.
I didn't have any morals at that time.
We know.
I was just looking for ways of passing the time by. And I wish I did.
Lord.
I wish I did. Now, being on this side, especially being more hyper aware
and
understanding like soul ties and sexual ties, that is a real thing. You really leave a piece of your DNA with somebody.
Yeah.
And, to have to deal with that energetically throughout the years and just the memories, especially that's tied with those situations, it's like, it's not worth it. So that's why I say you're not missing out on nothing, you know.
And I struggle with that for like a large part of my life, feeling like I didn't get the opportunity that all my friends got. Like when we would have sleepovers or we would just have like girl group situations, we would have all these conversations about, this guy and this guy, we would do the 10-finger game, and my fingers would always stay up because I'm like, I can't relate. Like, y'all sound hoish to me. And I know that you're not a hoe, but it sounds hoish to me because you just told me that you just slept with 4 dudes. We're in high school. Where did you have the time? Whose house were you? Like, where was your parents at? And it's just like, wow, people go out their way. I'm like, girl, we do it in the school bathroom. The school bathroom with bacteria?
Yeah, see, I never took it that far to do it on school grounds.
No.
I had some type of decency.
See, that's why I don't have no friends, because I realized that my friends were hookers in real life. Like, why are you out here giving out your nooks and crannies at the schoolhouse? Like, what is wrong with you? Your mama didn't raise you to have values, core beliefs. Like, that's, and no offense to y'all. I'm not, still no judgment, but it's just like, I was mortified hearing some of these stories. I'm like, you did what? With who? Where? That's too much. I was like, that's too much for me. Now, I can't say much of anything because the amount of people that I've kissed, I feel like I should have just let them jump my bones because I have kissed so many people. It's just insane. And it's not like a crazy amount, but anybody that I've talked to, like on a dating kind of situation, like, we're just trying to figure out if this is worth a relationship try, like we've kissed.
Yeah.
And when I think about like even the 10, maybe 12 people that I've kissed, that sounds disgusting to me. Because that to me is like intimacy, like my mouth. I eat with this mouth. I drink with this mouth. Like this is where the bacteria is stored, and on your tongue, in the roof of your mouth. And I'm just freely just kissing people.
Such a germaphobe.
I am a germaphobe.
Literal with it.
I'm such a germaphobe.
Man.
And then don't get me started on like the actual sexual experience. I'm like, you know how nasty boys are. I don't even know if y'all wash correctly, and you want to insert that hot dog into my no. No. I need you to go bathe first. Use some bleach, okay? Bleach water. Like, no. That, I was very particular about my pH balance. And at the time, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
But I was very particular about my body and my smells and everything. And I was so self-conscious. Like, I didn't want to even explore that because I didn't want to be the girl that everybody said, she smelled like fish. Because we've been in high school and we've heard how guys interpret a female, and then they rate you and then they say, don't mess with her, she got a smelly coochie. Or I didn't want to be that girl. So I was like, let me just keep my legs closed because nobody in high school is taking sex seriously. And I'm not interested in it enough to even explore the possibilities. So I was just like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'll wait.
Listen,
I'll wait.
All right, and I wish I did. I wish I waited. I wish I had that vow for myself. I'm telling you, it's a lot to unpack.
So I have a question for you. As a guy who has explored sex in that way, like how does that make you feel knowing that you have like a rap sheet?
Well, now I don't. It's not like a badge of honor. Do I regret it? No, not necessarily. And the reason being is because had I not explored that temptation in a controlled manner, as much as it was controlled, then I wouldn't know like what I like. You find a lot about yourself when you experience partners, because you figure out mannerisms, how that person actually is on the other side of it, and there was a lot of situations that I put myself into after, just the action. Like I was just trying to get to the action of it, not realizing the consequences that happened after.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like if I didn't explore that, then I wouldn't know how to really appreciate our marriage. I wouldn't know how to appreciate a relationship. Let me say that. It definitely helped me identify with what I wanted out of a partner. So the experiences was like, okay, in the moment it was cool because that's what I was after. Yeah. But the karma that comes with it after, what you have to deal with when it comes to a woman, because women, you guys are emotionally attached. You know, men, we get into it for the one action, and after that, we forget your name. Like, that's how bad it was. That's how bad it got to the point where it was like, I feel like I've seen you before.
Damn.
And because most of the times, like, especially when we went to college, it was, a lot of one night stands. It was just accessible because of the person that I was in that time.
Yeah.
It was like, take your pick. And no, I'm not proud of it.
Yeah.
I regret not having morals and core values in that time to be a little bit more selective.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate what I've gained in terms of knowledge and to apply to a relationship from those experiences. But 0 stars.
I think that it's crazy because it gets really challenging. Not necessarily trying to defend our college era, but really explaining to people. Like, I think like it goes back to, you can't make this up, because we both understood the goal of our relationship. We both understood our future goals. But hearing you say out loud, like, your college experience sexually was a lot, just knowing that I was there, just knowing that the females that he dealt with found me or my friends in some kind of way, which was insane. Like, the amount of investment, I don't know what type of D you was giving. I mean, I do know what type of D you was giving them, but my God, like, these females were dick whipped. Like, they were acting like you were their man, like you pledged your allegiance to their coochie and you wanted to marry them, because they went out of their way to find me. They went out of their way to make themselves known to me, like, yeah, I had your man. And because tonight he's coming back with me. And I know that sounds silly to a lot of people. Like, okay, well, you were still sleeping with him when he was sleeping around? Yes, I was. And I caught karma too, dealing with that. And it was ignorant. And I'm not proud of the part that I played in your sexual college story. But I realized that we were so set on our goal. Like, we were in a relationship in college, but then we weren't. Because you were like, I can't continue to pretend like I don't want to get this out my system. I have to get it out my system. And I said, okay. And for most women, it's like, why wouldn't you go live your life? And this is where it gets complicated with our relationship, because we kind of had this understated understanding that was, he can explore because he's a man and because I met him in that way. Go ahead, do what you need to do, get it out your system, because I know once you hang up your player jersey, it's officially hung up. And I'd rather you officially hang it up than to have it in the back of the closet for just in case. Because I know what type of person that you are. So I was willing to allow him to explore and come back if he needed to be reminded of home, but go ahead and explore. But for me personally, I didn't take that route because he had boundaries, and I didn't really have the same boundaries because I, again, understood who I was marrying and who I eventually wanted to be with. I understood that alpha mailing you, and I knew that it was like, okay, either he's gonna do it before we get married or he's gonna do it after we get married. And I think that the Band-Aid after we get married is gonna be so much harder to rip off, because that's gonna end our marriage. And I wasn't confident in the fact that you would choose me in our marriage over exploring all that, because you had friends around you that were also very sexually affluent. And it was like, I was okay with the concept of us not dating and you getting it out of your system without the pressure of me being your girlfriend than me going out and exploring, because it was like, no, she can't explore. And when we had that conversation with my mom, like, so you can talk to other girls, but she can't. And we both were like, yeah. And she was like, that's stupid. And I was like, to you, because I am an emotional person. I can fall in love with a leaf. My emotional female bone was so strong and was so vulnerable in high school and in college that I literally could be, and it wasn't necessarily falling in love with any and everybody. It was the fact that I have a complacency thing, and I can get comfortable and complacent in a relationship and not care if it's not fulfilling, because I know how to fulfill myself. I'll go on dates by myself. Like, I will live happily single in a relationship. And I was okay with that, because I'm like, well, I was a people pleaser to the top degree. So I didn't mind being with somebody who got more pleasure out of our relationship than I did. So I was okay with that. I'm like, well, as long as they're happy. And it's like, I know how to fulfill myself and be happy if I need to. I'm not requiring it of my partner. Like, I know how to go and get it myself. But that was being comfortable and happy being single, but having like a fail-safe, like a relationship. And I think that was more toxic mentally than it was actually just going and sleeping around. Because it's like, this person is really into you, Brittany. And I'm like, that's fine. I have an end goal, and it's Dorian. Like, that's my end goal. So all of this play is literally just play to me. Like, it's not anything that I genuinely was taking seriously. I think there was only one relationship that I kind of took seriously. And after I healed from that and realized that, okay, I'm only with you because my mom and your dad are friends, and they kind of push us together kind of to save you from being a hood rat.
Right.
And they used a good girl to do it. And I'm like, so y'all use me to manipulate this man's life. And I was like, I told y'all from the get-go, I don't want to date this child. Like, he's your son and you're my mom's friend. Like, that's weird behavior to me, because what happens when we break up? Then that's going to challenge y'all's friendship, because we don't want to be around each other.
Right, and it did.
And it did, because we're not together and they're not friends anymore. And I'm like, see, now you messing up future relationships that could have been a very beautiful friendship. And now, you done forced 2 kids to date. So, yeah. And it's like, yeah, you had to go and explore, and I had to stay put. Yeah. And that gets hard trying to explain to people that. It really does. Like, you're stupid. I was the stupid girl then. I'll be that. Like, but I knew myself.
Yeah. And I really apologize for putting you through that. Like I said, like to you before, it could have been anybody. I just hate that it was you, because you have to know your story and to know that it was like, damn, bro, you really did that to the best, like, contender. Like, why would you do that? Like, you really risked a Beyonce out here.
Don't do that.
Just to play around. But I knew in those times that I wasn't attached. Yeah. And, unfortunately, there may be some ladies that hear this that, we've had a run-in or a relationship in the past. I apologize for playing with your time, for playing with your heart in those manners, because I was in a state of mind of trying to get mine. I was a very selfish individual. And I understand about that about myself, and I've healed from that. But in those times, I wasn't attached. Yeah. So I knew where home was, which was you, and I knew what had to be accomplished in order for me to settle down. Yeah. And in order for me to settle down, I could not have any temptation in my heart to take it to that length anymore. Yeah. Being a man, just an attractive man. I'm 6'7", light skinned. Fine. You deep in what I'm saying? Like, it comes with it. So I had to have enough resilience in me and have seen enough in me to know, like, I don't need to cross the line anymore. I can't. Yeah. There's no more boundary breaking. I've got it out my system to know that, like, I'm here. I'm good with home. Yeah. And that's why we had that unspoken just understanding, like, I can step out because I'm not attached. I'm just literally just trying to get something out my system. Yeah. I can't be with you right now. And I had enough respect for her to, break things off in college. Yeah. Like, look, I don't want to cause you that damage of, you finding out behind your back or on the streets. Yeah. So let's call this thing, like, let's put it on pause or put a pin in it. And, it's not to say that this is forever. Yeah. I am coming back. You are my home. Yeah. But I love you enough to let you go find happiness if it's not with me. Yeah. I'm hoping that you're still there once this is all done. Yeah. And, you had your run-ins with some individuals, and he played their role enough for you to find out, like, no, he is home. Yeah. And listen, it's odd to be a 30-plus tax-year-old woman and to say, like, I got a single body count. Like, that's kind of like, ooh, I had a moment of a one-night stand, and that was literally, like, the most that I realized in that moment, like, damn, this kid is really falling head over heels. And I had to, like, let him down, like, okay, so no, like, that was 0 stars. I was watching The Nanny, like, come on, bro, like, you didn't even do your part. And I felt bad because me and you had that specific night was so awful. Like, I felt so bad because you were DJing a party at the White Houses in college. And I remember DeGaius was there, and he was like, whoa, before you assume this is what's going on. And I was like, that's not the point. Because what happened was there was a chick there who was classified as a groupie. And she was sitting behind the DJ booth just trying to talk to you, like, being over emotional. And you were like, calm down. I'm working. I don't have time for this. Get out. Go back to where you were. I'm not doing it. I'm literally DJing a party right now. There are people in here, like, go somewhere. And you got tired of explaining yourself, so then DeGaius started talking to her. Mm-hmm. And he was just like, once he
turned around from talking to her and then turned back and saw that I was walking into the party, he was like, all right, let me tell you what's going on. This is the truth. I'm not trying to cover his tracks. I'm just letting you know, like, he's been trying to get her to go. So don't make it seem like this is what's happening, because y'all were like toggling and DJing at that party.
Yeah.
And I was just so upset. I was like, why is she even here? He was like, don't get upset, don't do anything stupid, because he knew. That was like big bro.
Yeah.
Like, he knew. And I was like, I don't care nothing about that Jagai. It's like, I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off because every time I come around, she's here and he's dealing with her. And I was like, why does he have to keep explaining himself to a chick that's not even his girl?
Right.
Like, I was getting frustrated. So I left the party, and then that's when I made my choice. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to get my get back, and I know how to get him. And then the sex was whack. Like, that shit lasted 2 minutes. And I was like, were you just like, and he was older than me. That's the part that pissed me off. Like, you were supposed to be a veteran at this. So I was like, what, did you just lose your virginity to me? Because what the hell was this? And I'm sorry to curse, but y'all, I was really trying to get back at my husband when we were in college. And I was like, I had this little one night stand. Like, what was this? I was like, I hope his one night stands ain't this janky. And sir, if you are listening to this, I am so sorry that you had to hear that your pipe game was weak. But baby, it was terrible. Like, I was like, this is why you don't explore.
I hear that.
I'm sorry. This is why you don't explore. And this is why I stayed. Like, after that, that was my one and done. Like, that was my one shot. And I literally, as soon as the morning came, I went and told my husband. Like, I literally was like, listen, I was trying to get back, and it didn't work out. You know, it was a 2-minute pump, and, you know, little condom got stuck in, and I was ready to go. But it was super late, and I couldn't come back. So, yeah, I was pissed off. I was very pissed off. I stayed up that whole night and watched the nanny the entire night. I did not go to sleep that night.
Dang.
Woke up, came home, and I was just really frustrated because I had wasted my time. Like, I was trying to get back at this man for God knows, like, it wasn't even what it was, but I was just so in my emotions, drunk, and I just made a really dumb decision. And I remember going to Bay's dorm and telling him this, and he was sitting in his chair like, so it wasn't worth it? Like, you did, like, he had this very arrogant demeanor, like, so you played yourself. It's what I heard. I was like, yeah, I did. And he was like, all right, so you ready to help me record? Yes, sir. Like, we moved past that moment so quick, and it was just like one of those, never speak of this moment, because it was so terrible. And it was like, that was your best attempt to try to get at me, like, get a rise out of me. Like, how did that work out for you? And I'm like, it didn't.
Look at your wasted efforts.
Look at your wasted efforts, child. I was so upset. But
you needed to know. You had to walk it through.
I did it. And I think the reason why I've never been interested in sex, like, I was okay with just being, it's about to get emotional, guys, so get your tissues and prepare yourself. I think that why sex wasn't a thing for me, like, I didn't care about it, was because of my entire life being about dealing with sexual trauma. And this is a topic that I don't openly discuss on any platform, just because it's, number one, now you'll know if you're listening, mother, but my mom is very in the dark about the truth of my life. And it's that way for a reason, because, you know, I didn't grow up with the cool, like, TV show mom or the sitcom mom that was emotionally available to receive what I had to say without making herself the victim and saying, well, how do you think this makes me feel? It's not about you, okay? You weren't the one that had to deal with sexual trauma from the earliest age that I can remember of 4 years old all the way up until, what was that, after high school? So, like, 2011. And it's insane, like, saying this is making my heart race, but actually getting down and understanding, oh, don't cry, actually processing and understanding that I've been dealing with sexual trauma most of my life. From the tender age of a toddler, like a younger age, like 4 years old, like looking at my daughter and knowing that I've been dealing with this since her age, and then all the way past college afterwards, like, that is insane to me. And then not even having a platform or people around me that understood. Like, I remember telling this guy, like, that I went to school with, you know, like, hey, and I ended up dating this guy, which was insane. And I told him, like, hey, you know, this happened to me. And I remember his response. He was like, Brittany, why would anybody want to rape you? You're not even worthy. And I remember seeing that message on AOL IM Messenger. That's how old I am. And it was so devastating. I'm like, not only are you telling me that what happened to me was irrelevant to you, like, you don't care, but you told me I'm not even worthy enough to be raped Like, that's what you just said to me as a child. Like, you tell somebody who's experienced a trauma, like, you're not even worthy enough for that. Why would you give yourself that much credit to say that someone would want to take something from you? Like, you're not even worthy enough for that. Nobody wants to do it willingly. Why would they want to do it forcibly, is what you said to me. And I think, not you, babe, but, you know, just hearing that is just insane. But that was why I was never interested in sex. I was never interested in exploring, you know, that possibility, because it's like, nobody cares. Nobody takes this seriously. You know, my mom had me and she was a single mom. Like, my dad didn't even care because he duplicated this, have a kid with somebody and leave them 4 times. So I was never able to see the excitement of sex. And then watching all of these movies where people just have all this chaotic, crazy, rough sex, and then they do it to multiple women. It's like, everybody treats sex like it's a bag of chips. Like, you get it and then you get salt and vinegar chips, you get Ruffles, you get your, you know, all Funyuns and all these different kinds of chips. And when that one becomes empty or inconvenient, you switch your bag. And I didn't like that. Like, I didn't like how intimate, like, lack of it being special. And I didn't like how people treated sex. And then, no offense, to marry somebody who literally had the same mindset with other women, it was like, Brittany, what are you attracting? Wow. What are you choosing every day? Why do you keep saying it's okay to engage in activity that other people don't even take seriously for the sake of what? Releasing your bodily fluids onto somebody's pipe? Like, why? And I'm so literal, but why do you feel like it's necessary for you to keep putting yourself in this emotional cycle of trying to make something work that doesn't work? Yeah. And it was so hard, and I realized that I had to heal that, because you had the switch go off in your head where you were like, you know, I don't want to just have sex with you. I don't want to do like the light skin thing and make love, but I want it to mean something to you because I understand what you've been through. Yeah. And I want you to have this fulfillment. I want you to know what sex feels like, and not just in the quick fix, not in the one night stand way, but really understand what this emotional thing does. And I think that when I finally was able to conceptualize sex with you, it was deeper than just sex. It was just our vibe. Like, it became a requirement. It became something that was like, no, I have to feel this connection with my husband because it's the only person I'm going to be with for the rest of my life. Yeah. But I want to know what it's like to experience him vulnerable. Like, y'all, we've said this on a past episode, but we showered together. Like, that's as vulnerable as you can be. Right. You are wet in the shower, butt naked, nothing can cover you. Like, you are just seen. Like, I see you. You can't hide behind the cloth. Like, I see you. And to just be that vulnerable with you took me a really, really long time to just accept, because we didn't just start showering when I lost weight. He's seen me, and the only time we didn't shower together, truthfully, was when I was pregnant. That's it. Wow. Every other time we showered, like, we were showering together when I was at my biggest, in the smallest shower. We weren't even like a master bedroom shower. Like, we were in like a regular guest bedroom shower. Sometimes we had that little small corner pocket shower, like typical Georgia homes, like just this little, like, oh, you forgot to put a shower in here. Oh, let's just fit it in this corner, like that kind of shower. Yeah. And we made that our thing in our marriage, but it helped us create this vulnerable intimacy between us that was healing for me. And, you know, exposing this part of my story to my husband was really hard to watch him dissect, because out of everybody in my entire life that I shared my sexual experiences with, or a snippet of my story, just because it was something so sacred to me, like actually verbalizing, like, this is what happened to me and this is what I've been carrying for over 20 years. Like, yeah. I have been carrying the faces of these boys and these men that have stalked me, that have followed me, that have shown me their penis in public, like, that have done all these things when I was a kid. Like, I remember having a breakdown in the underground because of a man literally following me around the entire underground and literally coming close and saying things to me, and it traumatized me. Like, I see his face, like, it is insane. But to be able to share that with you, and you take that and just like, I'm gonna help you through this. You know, I'm gonna be gentle with you. I'm gonna walk you through this. Like, I'm gonna help you unpack sex, and I'm not doing this for my benefit as a man. I just want you to not look at something that is created for intimacy that is created to express a different kind of love in your marriage as something that is derogatory, as something that is demonic, as something that is like not important, because we went through a drought.
Yeah.
We went through a sexual drought because I was like, I just can't see myself making sex a priority. And we went through that drought for like,
some years.
It was like maybe 6-7 years. Like we were probably having sex in our marriage maybe like 2 to 3, maybe 5 at most times a year.
Yeah.
A year, y'all. Like not a month, a year. Yeah.
I was willing to be patient with you because I understood that trauma there. No, I can't relate to it.
Yeah.
But I could energetically feel that from you. And to be in your mother's house a lot of the times when we were unpacking, because a lot of unpacking happened at your mom's. I was willing to stand the test of time because I knew what you were battling. I knew what you were facing. So the drought didn't mean anything to me. I got everything out my system. Even though I was still, I wasn't tempted at work, but to be going to work and, still have, the addressing, I was still getting approached. But I had been there, done that before. It was nothing to just brush off because I knew the bigger goal. Like we had made it that far to go past high school, college, and then to, now get on the other side of having a child and building our life. It's like, oh no, the goal is so much bigger than this one little moment. I'm not getting caught up on those little tests anymore. So, healing that trauma for you was priority, because if me and you were ever going to have a future that was this picture perfect, intimacy was a part of that. Yeah. And you didn't know it at the time, but it was more spiritual than physical. Yeah. And understanding, like, going through my healing journey, that was what it was created for, was like spiritual connection, especially with your twin flame. Yeah. I was like, oh, this is something that we both owe it to ourselves to experience.
It's a need. It's a necessity.
It's definitely a requirement.
Like, my goodness.
Yeah, it feels great, but like who we become after that, how we're closer after that, like the ways that you know me, the ways that I know you, that's like, nobody can take that away from us. And intimacy, the right type of intimacy, the right type of sex. Yeah. When practiced properly and not just as an accessory or something that's just so easily granted. Yeah. It does things. It unlocks things for that individual. Because that you're talking about something that happens cellularly. There's chemicals that get released in your body when it's done properly. And we both have now unlocked that for each other. Yeah. And you were worth the wait of, healing. I understood I broke a lot of things.
Don't make me cry.
I broke your heart in so many ways. And I told you before, like for a while, I was trying to mend it back together out of guilt. Because I'm like, okay, like I need to chill and I got to start clearing some karma. So let me be nice to her. Yeah. And then that turned into, okay, I'm understanding her more. So that made me want to show up for you more. Yeah. It made me want to start helping you through things and supporting you through those things, even if I wasn't the one to see the prize at the end and like really be with you for the rest of your life. I was willing to put that work in to not just clear my karma, but to be able to leave a piece of the healing that I was going through with somebody else. That's the biggest thing that I could give her, was like, let me give her some knowledge. Yeah. I can give her anything in this world, but if she doesn't leave with knowing how to do it for herself, how to fend for herself, how to heal for herself, then what was I there for? Just to fill in the time. I'm more than a placeholder. Yeah. And I wanted to just be that person that supported you through. And I'm glad that you're on the other side of it. It's just like watching a movie every day.
You smiling because you know how it feels.
I mean, that's one thing too.
I cannot with you. So I have a question. How did it make you feel like during your drought season as a man who went from having a smorgasbord of women to now having the one woman who was like, no, not today, not this year, not this month. It's like, okay.
I honestly, I don't even know if I shared this with you. I looked at it like a game. Like it was like, I'm competitive. At the end of the day, y'all, my dad played professional football. I was born with a football in my hand. Yeah. All right. That's just to comb that over. Yeah. So everything I approached was like, okay, mind over matter.
Yeah.
So during that season, realizing like where we came from and the season that we were in at that time, I was already knowing like, okay, yes, you're going through a drought now. Don't take it personal. Understand where she's coming from, and now you gotta hold that like just put it on like armor. So walk around knowing that when you are approached, remember the bigger picture. Remember the bigger picture. Like it was more than just curving for the moment or just curving to, you know, be like, oh, I'm a man, look at what I did. It was like, nah, this is so much bigger. This is a game. Every time I curve, it's a W.
Yeah.
And it was something I was able to work through on my own because I just had resilience. I had that mental toughness.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like this big thing for me. I still had Palmina, for everybody that already know.
So let me tell you how insane that period of our life was when we weren't really intimate. I went out of my way to order my husband a silicone replica of a vag, y'all, because I didn't want to do it. I'm like, on the days that I don't feel like it here. And I was okay with that. And it became my excuse to not feel pressured to have sex with my own husband. Because I'm like, oh, he's going to have this thing no matter what. And he did. And I was like, at a point after a while, I was like, wait. Now he's not even sweating me because I don't even make it like I'm not even flirting with him. And he's not bothered by the fact that I'm not giving myself. Like I'm not even trying to. And I started to realize, wow, you've created a complacent man in a marriage that used to be very interested in sex, very sexual, very intimate, very touchy-feely. Now he don't touch you because you've said, stop touching me. You've made it clear, like, you need to talk about something more than just sex with me. You need to stop making me like a piece of me. I'm your wife. You need to love me in other ways. And all of that, of me saying that to you, was because I was uncomfortable in my own skin. And I had to heal from that little boy telling me that I wasn't even worthy of being raped. And I replayed that in my head every time I had to deal amongst you dealing with women who I knew in college. Not knew as in we were friends, but knew because they made themselves known to me. Just knowing what they look like, knowing the girls who dated, knowing their body type, knowing how beautiful they were and all this. And then you have me. You know, I was going through the ugly phase of my locks. I was large because I just had popped out 2 babies that were almost 10 pounds. You know, I wasn't really confident. Like I was dressing like I was homeless, wasn't wearing a bra with D-sized cup titties. And it was just like, I just looked away. And I was like, there's no way that this man is proud. And I stopped trying. I stopped trying to be the girl that went outside the house looking cool, cute, cool, and all of those things. Like, I just looked like hell was a part of my life. And I found comfort in that because I'm like, I'm not going to sit here and try to be the plus size girl who looks good. Like, I'm going to be the plus size girl who looks a mess, who looks like she lives in Walmart. And, you know, just no offense, but I lowered my standard because I'm like, well, he's a good looking guy. He can be entertained and all of that stuff. I know he's not going to go anywhere, but I wasn't even trying. And just knowing that I had pulled completely back and you were like, okay, that's cool. It did something to me because I'm like, oh, no. I never thought that you would cheat, but I had this feeling like he's going to pull away so much that he's going to realize that he doesn't need me anymore. And when I know as a woman, when you can't fulfill a guy's like sexual fantasies, he'll either find it somewhere else or go find it somewhere else. You know, it'll either be in porn or it'll be in the streets. And I knew that for me, it was very difficult to conceptualize, like, there was a possibility that I was going to be a single mom. Or there was a possibility that I was going to have to watch my kids be mothered by my husband, you know, my ex-husband and his new wife, you know. And I couldn't sit easy knowing that I stopped trying and it forced you to not try. Like, that just, it didn't sit well with me. And I realized, like, I had to learn how to love myself. And it wasn't until we had Autumn where I learned how to love myself because, honey, this little girl came out the womb self-love advocate.
Right.
Like, she was walking. We have so many videos of her with no clothes on because she was always in the mirror looking at her body from a baby age.
Like, she was Tyra Banks.
Man, with a whole beer belly. Like, she had her whole pot belly out. Hair looked like she wore wigs and never, you know, didn't have enough hair to get like weave. Like, she had a short little afro going on. And she was like, Mommy, I'm beautiful, Mommy. And I was like, you are, girl. And as she got older and her words got more clearer, I would put on stuff and she's like, Mommy, Daddy is not going to like that. Take that off. So she was like 2 years old going through my closet, put this on. And she's been that for me
Yeah.
since she learned how to talk at like early ages of like 1 to 2. I don't like that. She's been practicing putting on my makeup since she could pick up a brush. I think she was almost 2, or if not 2, but that's when she started pouring into me. Between that 1 to 2-year-old age, she started intentionally pouring into me. And I remember, I tell this story all the time on my platform. I am a jack of many trades, or a jackass, if you want to make it feminine, of many trades. And during one of my phases of trying to find out what the heck I was going to do with my life, I went and became a doula. And I went through this process of becoming a doula, and the lady who is the founder of the National Black Doula Association, Tracy Collins, she was my sounding board because, again, I told you, I did not have an emotionally available mother who could give me what I needed because she didn't have the same access. And I had access. We had social media now. We had other people, YouTube, other people to be examples. So my example was Tracy. And the reason why it was Tracy is because she had dealt with being self-conscious and not really being confident in who she was, in her body and in her skin and all that. And she went through a healing. And she was like in her late 30s for early 40s, or about to turn 40. And she was like, I just had this like switch go off. Like, no, I'm not going to go into another decade of my life feeling subpar, feeling less than, feeling self-conscious. And I remember confiding in her about what I was dealing with because she so fluidly shared her story, in one of our first meetings when we all met with the ladies for the doula program. And I was like, oh my God. So I'm about to just pour my life out to this woman. And I told her about my daughter. And I was like, I don't know how to have access. I don't know how to be her access point because I'm not where she is. I'm not confident. I'm not self-aware. I'm not any of those things. And she is very intimidating. And I don't want to break that in her because it was broken in me.
Right.
And I know what the quality of my life amounted to. And I didn't want her to go through the same things.
Yeah.
And Tracy said something to me that I preach and I tell everybody who listens, learn from your daughter. That's what Tracy said to me. Tracy Collins, I will always, for the rest of my life, give you credit for that statement because it changed my life. She said, learn from your daughter. Stop. Ooh, that was New York. I'm so sorry.
I heard it.
Ooh, that was bad, y'all. I'm sorry, daughter. I'm in Georgia. I gotta blend in.
I'm saying, we trying to go to LA.
I gotta figure out how they say it in LA. Because that New York, they'll be like, you're not from here. I know that. Anyways. Sorry. But yeah, she was like, learn from her and take those lessons and apply it so you can heal, so you can grow, so you can become confident. And I did. And I allowed Autumn to guide me into being more confident. And she was the first trigger to cause me to realize that I was living a subpar life as a woman. And when I started to heal and establish this confidence, then I got to explore this sexual side of me. Like, it started to be a thing where I would start to put on lingerie and just look at myself in the mirror and see, okay, where are you not comfortable? Your stomach, your weight, you're this, you're that. And I decided like I was ready for a change. And that's when I made the call and started doing my research on Dr. Richards, who did my VSG surgery. And I was like, I'm ready now. I have reached the point where I'm tired of just doing micro changes. I need a macro change. And when we moved into our apartment, a few months later, like literally in the same year of us moving into the apartment, we moved in there in August or July, almost August. By December, I had the surgery. I was not playing. Like, I was like, no. I have to get it together because now we're in our own place. We can finally explore our marriage in the best expression possible. And we did. That apartment needs to be a crime scene. I am so sorry to be explicit with child, but child, we explored our marriage in such a great way. And I think now when we go through low moments, because of all of the work that we did, healing our intimacy, learning each other, like no, there's not mommy and daddy in the room next door. Like, even though the kids are here, when they're in school, we had time to learn ourselves, learn about each other in a marriage sense, learn about our bodies. And our marriage was rooted in that season. That foundation was built in that season. And it just took me recognizing that, oh, no, you're setting the thermostat of complacency. And Bae was like, well, I'm going to change this thermostat and we're gonna kick it into gear because we can't stay here. We can't stay here. And after he changed the thermostat and I sensed it because he started healing, I was like, oh, okay, so this is, we're no longer in practice mode. This is live mode. Okay, Brittany, it's time for you to get it together. And here we are.
Here we are.
Second podcast together. I think this is what, my third or fourth
Yeah, girl,
podcast.
you on a roll.
Man,
I'm just trying to catch up.
Man, listen, we have really come into who we are just because, and I know that it's crazy to say, but we found ourselves when we got to explore intimacy as a couple. And I can't speak for you, but I can say for me, because it allowed me to find confidence in one of the most vulnerable spaces.
Right.
And I think it's because I know that you've had a past, and I know that you've had other women, and to know that you've had the catalog of women that you've had, and I don't have that same story. It's like you have to find a way to blow that man's mind so he forgets about that girl from 2010. So he forgets about that girl in 2011. So he forgets about, like, you got to make sure that he forgets that the only place that he goes back to in his memory bank is your coochie. Mm-hmm. So I had to find out how to be confident in the bed. And that took a lot
succeeded.
Man, listen, it took a lot of lessons. I was like, I can't go to these porn stars because they have been doing this a lot longer than me.
God.
And I'm not that nasty. And then I found out that I am.
I will tell you, hey, you gotta chill on air, man. That's for me.
Man, listen.
I will say, for me at least, I can't speak for every man, but for me, I was always looking for a connection. At the underlying drive for me wanting, to explore intimacy with all of these different partners. Yeah, I was in a moment, but at the end of the day, I just had this innate feeling of I need to feel connected, and that stemmed from, this is a whole nother conversation, but that stemmed from just how I was raised, not being nurtured in a way that a boy needs to be nurtured growing up. So, when it came to you, it didn't matter if you were a beginner.
Yeah.
It was just like, you are home. This is the only person that I have a connection with.
Yeah.
So I don't care if you're not throwing it in reverse like all of the porn stars. I just wanted to experience that and explore that with you, because that was when I got the most fulfillment.
Yeah.
I could have had 3 different partners in that same day and still wouldn't feel the fulfillment that I felt with just 5 minutes with you.
Yeah.
And that's what made me stay.
That's crazy, because you saying that, I feel like a lot of men deal with that and they just haven't put emotions to it. It's easier for them to say, no, I'm an info, I just like women. No, you were missing nurture in your life. You were missing that component to make you feel connected to a woman. So now you're out here searching for it, and sorry to be explicit, but dicking down anything that looks like a woman, because you're just trying to find that missing piece. You're trying to fill that void in your heart.
Right.
And when you get to that point of healing and you realize that doing that is only damaging you, then it makes you realize, like, okay, so I have mommy issues. And it's okay to have mommy issues, but you can't keep banging everybody's child, everybody's daughter, because you got mommy issues. You have to get to the root of that, and you have to be comfortable and heal and express that, whether it be to a therapist or a friend, or somebody that you trust, having a safe space of guy friends or a girlfriend, that something. But you got to get that out, and not in exploring the world of coochie.
Right.
Like you got to understand that you have a lack of nurture.
Yeah.
And I think that is a very beautiful realization for you to come to, like, oh, I was trying to find a connection, and once you got that, I think that it changed. Once you understood that, I think it changed the narrative of our relationship from me mothering you to now I'm your wife. Now I'm your partner. And I think that when we both realized, oh, it was the lack of nurture that was a wedge in our relationship. It was the lack of nurture that was making me feel like I had to mother you, because things weren't clicking.
Yeah.
They weren't clicking. Even outside the bedroom, they just weren't clicking. And I realized way later in our marriage, probably like 4 years ago, that, oh, he lacked nurture.
Yeah.
He lacked that connection to a woman in a way that could have helped you become someone so different.
Right.
And it wasn't until autumn came when it, like, after she started to develop and express her emotions, like, Daddy, you hurt my feelings. You said this. Daddy, you're not paying attention to me. Daddy, this. It was like, what do you mean? We're in the room together.
Right.
But you're on your phone, Daddy. You're not looking at me. You didn't tell me that you love me today.
Yeah.
You didn't hug me today. And when she started voicing that, it was like, I wonder how my wife feels now.
Right.
I wonder how many times I missed it with the adult version of my daughter.
Right.
And then that kind of did a switch in your head.
Pivoted, for sure.
It did.
She made me a better husband, a better father. Like, my son made me a dad. He snapped me out of that old reality to, okay, it's time to step up and be a little bit more responsible and dial into the micro. but I still didn't have that nurture piece, so I didn't know how far I could take it.
Yeah.
So it was just
not
like,
even with the son either. Like you knew how to be a dad. You knew how to play the sports and do all the things that your dad did for
Right.
you, but you didn't have that nurture piece to really understand our son.
Right.
And it wasn't until he started voicing where it was like, you're being a dad. I need you to understand me emotionally. Like when our kids started requiring that, I need you to be a human real quick. Step out of parent, be a human and understand where I'm coming from because you were my age once.
Yeah.
And it was like that humbling moment always just makes you like,
yeah, because you have a choice.
Yeah.
At that point, you can either continue how you are and turn into your parents, or you can make a difference and start taking accountability.
Yeah.
And
either way hurts.
Yep.
Then choose your heart.
Choose your heart. But then on this side, choosing accountability each and every day, you're going to come out on the other side.
Yeah.
You're always going to walk in greener grass.
Yeah.
Because now you know how to navigate the next day.
Yeah.
It's going to be something the next day, but you'll be able to get over it because that challenge is in front of you for a reason.
Yeah.
But I was definitely overfathered and undermothered.
Yeah.
That's a big thing in our culture.
Yes.
Especially black men. We come out the womb, we got to be hard, and we miss that piece. We miss, practicing our intuition and nurture, all of those things, man. It accounts for a lot of things in our relationships.
And sometimes, you get in a circumstance where you are overmothered and you have a mom doing everything for you, and then when it's time for you to, I think you were under-nurtured and overmothered because by the time you got to me, I was like, what do you know how to do?
Oh, nothing.
I'm like, do you know how to wash clothes? Do you know how to cook? Well, my mom showed me this 1 or 2 times.
Right.
What you mean? She's still been cooking for you? Like, I love my mother-in-law, but she still cooks for us. And I understand that is her love language, so I don't hold her so accountable. But it's like, I think that mothers that show their love in acts of service stifle the man. You stifle them because you create this subconscious requirement in their mind that's like, okay, well, my woman needs to be cooking for me. She needs to be cleaning because she still does this for her husband. And it's like, no. Now you're stifling because if something happens to you, mama-in-law, like, he's going to have to survive.
Right.
And you've created this expectation that dinner's going to be ready for him. This is going to be done. His clothes are going to be washed. Like, he doesn't have to fold. He doesn't have to do these things. And when you keep that requirement from your sons to your husband, now they don't know how to function as a full 100% man. They only know how to function as a half, as a better half or another half. And I don't throw shade because I cater to my kids, but then I have that balance of a husband that's like, in this moment, let them figure it out.
Yeah.
In that moment, let them figure it out. Okay, pull back, babe. You're doing a lot and they're getting older. And now my kids are at the point where they understand, like, mommy,
right.
I know you want to be a mom right now, but I want to open my own bag of chips. Mommy, I know you want to wipe my face, but I can do it too. And it took them having those conversations with me, like, hey, back off, respectfully.
Right.
Where I was like, oh, so you don't want me to be a mommy? And they're like, no, not right now. Like, do it when I hurt myself. But I want to, like, my son asks us all the time, like, can I take out the trash? Can I do this? And I'm like, no, you don't have to do that. And here come Beck, go take the trash out.
Right.
Go get this trash. While you at it, get the mop. Get the I'm like, really? He's like, yes.
Character development.
Correct. And it's like, oh, okay. But that stifling of a man as a youthful age makes him grow up and be the man that is literally seeking nurture, because it's like, yeah, you did do all of the things, but you just helped me not operate in my problem solving as a man, because now I don't know how to cook. I'm a man. I'm built to know how to do things.
Right.
That's how men are built. And now I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, we have to exercise our critical thinking.
Right. And when you don't, then, you have a lot of overly nurtured, undermothered men.
Yeah.
And then you have women like me who are like, what are you doing? Like, you don't know how to lead? No.
Yeah.
No.
You just got a bunch of grown boys.
Correct.
That can scream and say, I know how to make money. I know how to play sports.
Yeah.
But I ain't going to be able to love you.
Correct. I know how to buy you things to make you happy. Like, I know how to make you a very happy single woman in this marriage.
Right.
And that is a dangerous space to be.
Because women are becoming just complacent with that. They're like, look, this is what's left. I'll take what I can get.
Correct. Now you creating hard, masculine, feminine women.
Right.
Because we're like, we got to be the mama to this man and still nurture us. And now he want kids. So now I'm losing myself to my kids and my husband.
Right. And that's a dangerous place for a woman to be playing in. Y'all not supposed to act masculine.
Yeah.
Like, yes, you have masculine characteristics. That's just how our brains are operated. But women are naturally wired to be emotional beings.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of gender change. This is why we have a lot of confusion.
Correct.
Oh God, this is running into a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, sorry, y'all. But yeah, Lord, that's a conversation for another day, because I think me and Bae have the same position on, no offense, the LGBTQ community, and it's not in the ways that you think. It's not in a derogatory way. Like, we have no issue. We have most of our peers that we associate with are in the community. You know, that doesn't affect us. And I was in the community for majority of my life up until maybe 10 years ago, maybe like 5.
Maybe about 5, 6 years ago.
Yeah, like, I had to heal from that. But I had a reason, and I think that a lot of people in that community have a reason, and it stems back from either choice from birth or the environment encouraging that question in their head at birth. And it's like, oh, well, we had an environment that nursed it. We had an environment that really made that seed become a flower.
Right.
And you just ended up, it became something natural. It became something that you live with because you had an environment that either supported it in a positive way or supported it in a negative way, forcing you to make that choice because you didn't have the proper outlets around you. And trust me, it's from no state of judgment. I've been there. But I feel like it starts with the parents. It starts with that foundation that's set forward that really decides your understanding of intimacy, your understanding of protection, your understanding of partnership, your understanding of your sexuality, your interests, your spiritual, religious foundations. Like, it starts with the parents. And when your parents aren't aware or they make certain choices, it causes you to go down paths that you don't necessarily need to go down for character development, but you end up going down because you're trying to find that connection.
Right.
You're trying to make something stick to you. And, that's why we have man hoes and we have regular hoes. Like, that's just, the world that we live in. That's just the way it is. I make you laugh. That's so cute.
You all right. Yeah.
Don't be
having some stuff.
Whatever. But thank y'all for going through this crazy emotional roller coaster of this episode. This is probably one of our longest episodes.
Yeah.
You already know what I'm going to say. You can say it.
This was your favorite?
Yes.
You cried on the podcast.
I did. Y'all taking a thug out of me. I done cried. They had to do the emotional rub, like, calm down.
Man, telling you, she ain't used to be this soft.
I didn't.
The softest I've ever seen her in my life.
And I love it, baby. I cry at a snap, okay? I love it. I love being this feminine and this emotional because it makes me feel like, oh, I'm doing it right. I'm doing girl right.
Right.
Like, I'm doing girl right. I'm not walking around like, nigga, sit down. Do what I say.
Right.
What?
Especially to be from New York, from a single mother that, from New York as well.
Yeah.
Guyanese. Like, you got a lot working against you. A lot. So to be here.
A Taurus. You forgot that part.
Oh, that part.
Yeah, I think that's the first layer of crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm cool now. I am a healed Taurus. I am very much so in my soft Taurus era. I have abandoned my Caribbean roots. I don't even eat heavy meat. I'm just, different. I feel like I should change my zodiac sign.
No, that's not the way it works.
I want to be like a soft sign. Not a Pisces though. Sorry.
Damn.
I love you.
For my whole life. We're very neutral. We just kind of flow with the wind. That's why we're water signs.
I might be a Scorpio. I need calm but spicy. Rawr.
Diddy was a Scorpio.
Never mind. I definitely. We love y'all.
All right, Charles. We'll see y'all on the next one.
That was insane. Sorry for all you Scorpios. But yes, thank y'all so much for joining. We don't have any assignments for y'all. Just heal. That's the only assignment.
Straight up.
We love y'all.
Peace.
Bye.